My name is Tunde Kilani, but everybody calls me TK. Distinguished guests, fellow filmmakers, artists, and friends, on behalf of our executive producers, Mr. Tayo Oladimeji and Ali Adevi, and on behalf of the entire cast and the crew representing the cast and creative team behind Cordelia, I warmly welcome you to this very special occasion. After 3 years of hard work, resilience, and faith, Cordelia is finally ready for cinema audiences. Cordelia is not just about the release of a film. It is the celebration of a journey that began with a powerful story on the pages and comes alive on nationwide cinema distribution by Film 1 from July 18, 2025. Thank you. At the heart of Cordelia is a literary work by one of our greatest writers, Professor Femi Osofison. His novel provided the foundation, a layered, compelling narrative that we were honored to adapt for cinema. This is a reminder of the critical bond between African literature and the African film. Our written stories, alongside oral tradition, folklore, and lived experiences, are part of our intangible heritage. When we adapt them to film, we are not just entertaining, we are preserving, interpreting, and passing on our culture. This is what makes our cinema deeply authentic and what sets African storytelling apart. Cordelia is a film about silence, about the unspoken damage of power and the quiet suffering of those who live in the shadows of history. It is a political and historical story, yes, but it's also deeply personal. It holds a mirror to the fractures in our society and the fragility within the family when truth is suppressed. Because when power changes hands by force, when there's a military coup or a natural disaster caused by years of neglect, it is not the powerful who suffer first. It is the innocent, ordinary families that are torn apart. Children are displaced, parents are silenced or disappeared. The people caught in the crossfire are those simply trying to live, to raise their families, and to survive. Cordelia gives voice to those quiet victims, the ones history books often forget. And one of the most moving aspects of this film, what binds it emotionally, is the music. The original score was composed by the talented Michael Oganlatv, but it reached new creative heights through a unique collaboration, the music department of the University of Delaware in the US, under the leadership of Professor Anderson, arranged, orchestrated, and scored the film in a project that is titled Cultural Fusion. This collaboration between continents, between cultures, between traditions and techniques represents exactly what Cordelia stands for. It's a creative dialogue, a meeting point between African stories and global craftsmanship. And it shows what is possible when we open our doors to collaboration while staying true to our roots. To our extraordinary cast here represented and our crew, thank you for your passion and professionalism. To the composers, musicians, and partners behind the sound of Cordelia, Thank you for giving this film its soul. And to our audience, the Nigerian audience, who have stood with African filmmakers through decades of evolution, you are the true backbone of this industry. Through those era of Nollywood, VHS, VCD, cinema, and streaming, you have stayed loyal. You believed in our stories when others didn't, and it is for you that we continue to create. So, in conclusion, let us recognize and thank the team that made today possible. City People magazine, led by our brother, the visionary editor, Mr. Sheye Kehinde, and the assistant editor, Mr. Sunday Adigun, and their entire hardworking team. I thank you for organizing this press conference and for your continued commitment to celebrating the Nigerian creativity and culture. As for me, Cordila is not the end, but a new beginning, marking the start of a fresh chapter filled with entertaining, thought-provoking, and culturally grounded films that will continue to complement my decades-long journey in African cinema. Ire ni o, ẹ ṣé, ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. I have decades of my career, and it is all layered. At first, I was trained in television, and there was a time when I actively did newsreel. I was in the NTA, and I was carrying, if I was still in service, I would be one of the gentlemen standing there. And that was the time for many years, on contract underground, I was the BBC World Service cameraman in Nigeria, and I passed all that stage of my life. And it was at a point when I said, no, wait, I'm going to stop this and face the narratives. We had, through technologies, been essentially cinematographer in one part of the Nigerian cinema. And then when the technology changed, it was the time for me I was independent and started mainframe productions. So I don't know where to start the count. But if we started from when the technology changed and we started to use video, we had no choice because of Nigerian economy had collapsed completely. And I decided to appropriate the new technology and for it to tell the stories. So we may start the count from Teluanile, and then Koshegbe, and then Oliku, and then Thunderbolt, Shawoye, Agogoyo, and Campus Queen, and the Narrow Path, finally Anila, finally Dazzling Mirage, Miami, and then we're here. So without bothering to count, I just say maybe 15 or so. Although some of my associates, especially my lawyer, Debelo, insists that I have done 28. Wow. So let's take his figure and say that I've made roughly about 28 films.
Fantastic, sir. You've just given us a figure to it. And most of those, in fact, the entire movies you mentioned are top-notch movies, which remain evergreen. When you even get to have access to those movies, it's just as if they are new again. So this particular one coming out, which is Cordila, I want to ask that what actually inspires you to come up with this?
Well, as you know, my works can be classified. Basically, I work in adaptation because I love literature. I've read all our authors. I've been influenced by all the superior arts. But I've done a lot of adaptations. Koshegbe, Oleku, Mami, Thunderbolt. They are books. Dazzling Mirage, they are books. And Cordila is adapted from Femi Osofison's work. Remember that we had done Mami, written by Femi Osofison. As a matter of fact, when I approached Professor Femi Osofison, I had Cordila in my hands. It was like not a complete novel, it's like novella or something. You could not believe that such a powerful story can come out, a thing can come out from such a small book. And when I got to him, I told him, I sat down, I told him that I had come to discuss Cordelia. And then he laughed and said, I don't know, maybe if you saw mommy, I don't know what you think about it. So he went inside and brought mommy. And I read the few pages and said, this is the one I'm going to do first. And at that time, remember in 2010, they had brought the World Cup first time to the African soil. And I wanted to connect its story to the World Cup. So I said, no, this is what I'll do first. And for about 7 or 8 years, I kept Cordelia in my cabinet, waiting for the opportunity. And then one day, I got visitors. It was President James Anderson from the professor of music and is the head of orchestral activities from University of Delaware. And what came in sort of a delegation, and what they wanted to be involved in a project that was called Cultural Fusion. Originally, they wanted me to give them one of my old films, which they would take the soundtrack down, and then we would score the music. We compose the music in Nigeria, and when they get back with audience and everything, they will screen the film without the music, and the live orchestra of about 75 people will play to it. Once he finished talking, I said, no, I'm not going to give you any of my old films. We are going to make a new one. So I went inside and brought Cordila and said, this is what we're going to do. So many things have inspired Cordila. The music is special. It was composed by Michael Oganlatv, and then it was arranged, scored, and performed at the University of Delaware in the US. And as you can see, it looks like a small story, but it connects all of us. And I'm lucky to have had such a fantastic cast behind it. If you see the film, you will see what magic these stars have brought to this film.
So coming from that line, I wonder, I don't know if anybody would also be thinking such that with the